back, everyone, to another beautiful episode of our Last 30, a podcast about life, death, and everything in between. We talk about living, man, the beauty of life, appreciation, the complexity of on our beliefs, and the difficulty of talking about death.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to talk about all the things in between. We've talked about higher ed, relationships, forgiveness. We've talked about financial side of that, just manhood, and some of it people just love. Other things people are like, that's all right. It's
like
funny.
Back to my list.
Yeah, it's funny because Cesar, we are higher ed professionals, and when we talk about higher ed, there's a little movement on our videos when we talk about relationships, the male perspective. Oh my goodness, do our listeners really enjoy that? And that's kind of where we're at today. So last week we started with, so this is part 2, right? Last week we started with part 1 of that about forgiveness. Today we're going to go a little bit deeper. We'll be talking about faith and how people believe and the complexity of that, grace, and the complicated relationship between spirituality and self-forgiveness. And in fact, I think what you'll see, if you've been watching our podcast, you've watched the humble growth from 2 guys really just doing our best to bring what we think is a great resource, an intellectual resource regarding our perspectives as men, as brothers, as individuals in relationships, and sons, and that complexity, right? And so we're not here to convert anyone. In fact, I was going to say, Cesar, he's in a new path, right? He is walking in a new path in his relationship and development with his beliefs. I'm someone who's more on the sidelines, agnostic, still trying to figure everything out.
No.
But I'm super interested in religion. I'm super interested in why we do the things we do in relationships, and how religion influences that or doesn't.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who are agnostic and atheists, and religion or religious beliefs have no influence on the things they do. But because we live in a southern state, the majority of my friends have strong religious beliefs, and so that helps influence kind of their perspective. And I think, Cesar, you saw it in the last few guests, right?
For sure.
Faith and family are always at
Big
the top
part.
of the men that we talk to. And so a big part of being a member of a family and a big part of faith is that other, as our colleague Dr. Cesar Cruz would say, the other F word.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one. That F word is forgiveness.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about specifically self-forgiveness.
Self-forgiveness and how faith influences that. And just to preface it, again, it's not going to be about religion. We're not theologists. We're not pastors. We're not knowledgeable in this kind of subject. It's more about how faith shows up in that healing process and that forgiveness aspect of a man, and acknowledging that these conversations are personal. A lot of what we're gonna talk about, and a lot of what we're gonna say is gonna be personal and raw, just because it varies, and it's very specific to that individual on how they forgive themselves, what it is that they have been through, and how they want to go about it. So just acknowledging that this conversation might feel very raw, and it's gonna feel very personal, but we'll do our best to try to connect it to that overarching theme of faith and that process and stuff.
And I'm glad you said that, Cesar, because these are just our unique perspectives.
Absolutely.
All right, we don't push anything, like, we don't push our drinking on anyone. We like to enjoy drink. If you don't,
I might need another one here to lip before we finish the episode.
Cheers. Thank you, guys. Cheers to 9,000 subscribers.
You know what we need now? We need a bartender for whenever we're recording. That way, whenever I finish my drink, I can just whoop, another one coming in. If not, we're going to have to pause, edit, and then do all this other stuff. But yes, thank you for 9,000 subscribers.
I opened up a special bottle today of rum Zacapa that I got from Guatemala. It's won several awards. At one time, greatest rum voted won whatever greatest rum in the world or whatever. I don't care.
It's good rum.
It may not even be true, but that's what I believe to be true.
We're drinking it. So it's good.
So again, we're celebrating 9,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for, gosh, man, humbly supporting this effort. It's just amazing. Cesar, you were talking off air, and you were saying how you grew up. For you, your religious baseline and base, right, is Catholicism, right? Can you kind of expand on that? I know you said that you went to Sunday Mass in two countries. Started off as a young Catholic in Mexico, and then developed that here in the United States, and then you continue to explore. What does faith look like for you?
Honestly, I think it's been different since I left the U.S. or left the U.S. Since I came to the U.S. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. That's when you know the drinks are good. They start to hit. Yeah, I mean, I grew up Catholic. That's how we were raised. And I think that's until I was 8 years old when I was in Mexico. It was very traditional, going to Mass every Sunday, doing everything pretty much. My grandma was super religious. My great-grandma, my mom, on my mom's side, they were super religious, so we were in church all the time. We followed strictly the whole Catholic beliefs and the whole belief system. When we got to the U.S., it was a little bit different, just because of how life gets here, man. That thing being here, it just takes a lot of your time, and I mean, we've talked about it. It's work, it's trying to make ends meet, and trying to figure out what's going to come next. So, for a very long time, for a lot of years, we would go to Mass maybe once a month, maybe for Christmas, maybe for special holidays, things like that, for weddings.
You know what they call those? C&E Catholics. You know what a C&E Catholic is?
Spanish?
Christmas and Easter.
Yeah, and sometimes not even Easter for us.
Well, it's just basically for
sure.
the special days, right?
Yeah.
And so I see that around here. I live in a community where it's largely Hispanic, and the Catholic Church is like a powerhouse. But for the most part, it's for those quinceañeras, weddings, baptisms, New Year's.
And that doesn't mean that we didn't follow the Catholic belief system or traditions. Yeah, like we were still Catholic. We're still Catholic, even though we don't practice it like that. And I think it has changed. I don't even know what word I was going to use. Big language. It has changed as I have grown.
Yeah.
Because the way that things were done, or the things that used to be, are not the same anymore. Yeah, we still have the same core traditions and core values, but again, we get into life. We can't be at Mass every Sunday. We can't do this and that, but that doesn't mean that you're less of or more of a Catholic if you attend Mass or don't attend Mass. So for me, again, I lost that tradition. I lost that not religion, but I lost that faith for a little bit. That I didn't go to church or anything like that until, we talked about it a couple months ago, and when we started the series on relationships. I attended that church out of a whim. I saw it on Instagram. It looked like it was a good church. So I loved the message. It's not a Catholic church, and that's honestly one of the big questions that I get a lot. Is like, you're Catholic. Why are you going to a non-Catholic church? For me, it's not about the religion. For me, about his message. Yeah. It's the word. At the end of the day, I believe in God. Whether I'm Catholic or whether I'm Christian or whether I'm whatever, that's one thing that we all have in common: the believe in God. So it doesn't change from religion.
Most people have in
common. Well, again, we're talking about our own.
Religions.
We're talking about our own perspectives.
Gotcha.
Not like overarching.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So for me, that's when I'm like, I'm listening to the word with an open mind. There's a lot of things that I haven't heard. The way that a Catholic Mass is very different than the services that I'm attending.
Very much.
Currently. Yeah. Bro, even the location.
Yeah.
We're literally at Gillies, or those services are at Gillies. literally the pastor comes in every morning or every Sunday. He's like, "You guys can smell what happened last night here."
Wow. So it is a bar that's still open.
Yeah, and it's still operating. They still have concerts.
So that means that Gillies probably closes at 2 something in the morning.
Yeah.
They clean it up, and then a
They
few
have to
hours
set it up.
later, you're in church.
Yeah, they have to set it up. That's why that's how he starts his service.
Wow. Well, what's the name of the
Social
church?
Dallas.
Social Dallas.
Yeah. So they're actually that place won't be there for long. They're on the process of getting an actual building in church.
Their own location, right?
But yeah, honestly, I think for me that's what it has been. It's been going there and just listening to it. And again, for me, not being super religious in that aspect where I know the Bible from front to back and I know the scripture how it is, the way that this pastor is talking about the message and the scripture is very relatable.
Yeah.
It's very literally, for me, dumbing it down. Because I can understand what he's trying to say and what he's saying. Because he'll talk about the scripture and he'll read the scripture out loud and then he'll put it into perspective in nowadays and how things are living and how we're living. So for me, that feels more relatable. Again, not saying that I've renounced to my Catholic faith or whatever. I still go to Catholic Mass. I mean, I just baptized my goddaughter a few weeks ago. And I think that's also important on that duality and that open-mindedness to where, and I'll go back to my own experiences. Whenever I was living in Omaha, the person that I was dating back then, she wanted to take me to a church that was similar like this, and I went a couple of times, not willingly, not willingly, but I went because I'm like, oh no, I'm Catholic. If I'm gonna go to church, if I'm gonna go to Mass, it's gonna be a Catholic church. That's all I'm gonna know because that was all that I have been taught, right? So for me, that's what it was. So whenever I knew that I needed to get closer to God and closer to my faith, and we talked about it at the beginning of the year whenever we were doing our 2025 resolutions episode, that I wanted to be closer to God, that I wanted to be closer in that religion and have that faith that I lost along the way, and that belief that no matter where I am in life at that point, it's because that's what God wanted me to go. That's where He wanted me to go. So the specific religion aspect of it doesn't play into anything. So that faith, and that's where honestly this series started off of. We the relationship series, the forgiveness series that we're going to be doing both started from attending this church. And I think for this episode, the biggest quote and the biggest thing that the pastor talked about that day was, forgiveness is letting go of what they owe us because Jesus paid it all. So I'll let you guys sit with that for a little bit.
Say it again.
Forgiveness. Let me
letting go.
I don't want to butcher it. Forgiveness is letting go of what they owe because Jesus paid it all. And then he goes again, puts it back into that Bible and the scripture of how Jesus literally paid for our sins and the cross. So why are we holding on to that bitterness, that not forgiving others for the damage that they've done to us?
There's a reason, right? The psychologists, we have a couple who listen in. Shout out to Dr. Julian Sanchez. Recently became Dr. Julian Sanchez. He's a psychologist. Someone along those lines, someone who works in therapy and that perspective, would tell you that if you're not letting go, it's because you're getting something from not letting go. There must be an incentive for you to hold on to it.
Yeah.
If you're in a relationship and you're not letting go of that, let's just pick. Do me a favor. In your mind, put into perspective something that you're saying that you've forgiven,
just one thing.
or that one thing that you said you have forgiven. Okay?
Just one thing?
Okay, well, I know. No, guys, we
especially talking to the men.
Listen.
We won't go that rabbit hole.
And that's the whole issue that's some of the points that we were talking about when we did our research and started talking about prepping our script for the couple points we want to make. The issue of forgiveness, I'm telling you, if you keep bringing it up, I'm sorry, it's because there is an incentive. You're getting something from not letting it go
Yeah.
completely. Again, for the sake of playing along, think of something that you've forgiven someone about, right? Think of a tough relation, particularly love, dude. Love,
Yeah.
bro. Love. We talked about it with our last
crazy
guest.
things.
Love makes people do crazy things. So if you've ever been in love, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you've never been in love, man, or you've never done anything real crazy for someone, baby, I'm going to challenge you and say maybe you've not been in love. Because love makes us, loco. So check it out. And you hold on to it. Why? It's because that's maybe your only sense of control.
Mm-hmm.
That's your only power. If you're powerless throughout the day, but if you come home and you just run your mouth about yesterday, that thing you won't forget, that's the only power you got. You powerless. If all you got is to damage, again, because we're men, is to damage that man's livelihood, perspective, his manhood, with this same argument, you powerless.
Yeah.
And I would argue you're less in a lot of other things. But
sure.
Right now we're talking about powerless. So that's the complexity of what we're talking about today. We're talking about forgiveness. But forgiveness, Cesar. Boy. Cesar, before this we were talking and he was showing me, right? He said, here's one of the things that the pastor was talking about on forgiveness. He said specifically, forgiveness is a gift. Okay? I wrote it down. It's a gift. But not forgetting though. And that's the kind of, so you're showing me the video, we're talking about it. That's a unique perspective. Slow this down for a second. If you got noise going on, turn off the blender, turn off their microwave, whatever you got going on right now as you listen to this podcast. To be able to forgive is a gift. Forgetting perhaps is impossible. As human beings, we're not built with the capacity to just forget. As Cesar was showing me a video about the pastor, what the pastor said is, if you're forgetting, actually your brain is malfunctioning. If you have the ability to just forget, so actually
forgiveness is not forgetting.
It's not forgetting. If you had the ability to just say, hey, come on, man, whatever's in your head. Oh, you lied to me about que no sé qué. Okay, que no sé qué, you lied to me about this. You can't forget. So because you can't forget, you hold on to it, and now your choice is to bring it up. And when you bring it up, if y'all arguing, that's a shit move, bro.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna bring up your little bit of power you have, y'all arguing about, oh, and another thing. 2 years ago, you said something, or you did something. Baby, then you ain't forgiven.
Well,
and that's what the pastor was saying, is that forgiveness is something you have to work on. Is that gift? Hey, I forgive you for this, Cesar. But forgetting, your brain doesn't have that ability. And it's not the kind of funny way of people saying it. I forgive, but I don't forget. But technically, it's true.
That's what it
your
is.
Your brain won't let you forget.
And you can't forget about it. Pain. You can forgive, absolutely, and you can be fine with it, and you can give that grace to somebody. But you will never forget how
that's
that
the
made
beauty
you
of
feel.
The gift. That's the gift.
Yeah, exactly. So that's great, and honestly, that's pretty much what the whole series is about. That part of forgiveness and how it shows up in relationships and things like that.
So let's talk about it. How does it show up in relationships, man? What does forgiveness look like in a relationship? We already said what love does to us.
Yeah, I'll bring it to a different way, and how we started the series. Forgiveness is about, or how we started this conversation is forgiving ourselves. We give grace to others. We forgive others from what they've done to us. We've stayed in relationships, talking about that romantic relationships aspect. We've stayed in relationships after people have hurt us, after people have done us wrong, because we're forgiving them. We don't forget, but we forgive. But why are we giving grace to others, but not to ourselves? And I think that's where all of this stems from and where all of this comes about. Because if you can't forgive yourself, you're not going to be able to forgive others. If you hold everything inside and you don't let it go, it's only going to continue to harm you down the road.
Yeah. That's the healing part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which precedes forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And that's where that healing aspect comes from.
Right.
That's where we heal and we continue to move forward. And that's where that faith also intersects with the forgiveness part of it. Have the faith that you did your thing. You forgave the person for doing you wrong. Faith is going to take over that situation, and it's going to play out in your favor. Why not do it to ourselves?
And let me clarify. I said it wrong. Healing follows forgiveness.
Yeah.
So if you can forgive others,
You can heal.
if you can forgive yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you can begin the process of healing.
Mm-hmm.
And when you begin the process of healing, you're already better off. You're already on a quest to being able to help others.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're unhealed, if you're bleeding from the wound, you can't offer assistance to anyone else. You have to seek that attempt to forgive yourself, to begin the healing, then place that upon others and try to work with healing.
Yeah.
Right. On the issue of relationships, what does forgiveness look like in personal, intimate relationships? Right. So with your partner, how do you forgive, man? Knowing that if you can't forget Cesar, right? You're a man. She hurt you, bro. Whether she lied to you or she, or she, or more serious stuff.
Bartender, right? Another one.
Hey, if there's a bartender,
Keep 'em coming.
bro, you know. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. Relationships, man. You want to destroy a human being?
Mm-hmm.
You start doing funny stuff like that, start lying in a relationship, cheating, being dishonest, being deceptive, and it's why people who appear to have it all, man, struggle with their mental health or even take a very serious action to transition from this earth. That's the power. So that's the difficulty, right? It's like you say you forgave her, but damn, every time that thought just comes up, dude. How do you navigate past that? That's the trick, dude, because here's this ugly monster.
Yeah.
All right, you're trying to look at that beautiful person, or your beautiful girlfriend, spouse, your whatever, your significant other. But there's this ugliness, man, that kind of distorts the beauty. Mm-hmm. How do you get past that, man?
With faith, bro, I think.
With faith.
That's ultimately that's what it is. You gotta have faith that if you're forgiving them, or you're forgiving for whatever they did, that hopefully they regret it and hopefully they won't do it again. It's having that faith in the relationship and the bond that has been established with that person, and being able to move past it gracefully and being able to be living amicably right after that. Again, you're not going to forget it. And yes, there are going to be instances when you're pissed off and you're mad and you're going to want to bring it up and you're going to want to, because we talked about it in the relationship series.
Don't bring it up.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. We talked about it in the relationship series. A lot of women, from what we've seen and the people that we know, will forgive you and will say, yeah, I forgive you, whatever. They'll continue that relationship. But once they're mad and they're pissed, or even when you're vulnerable and you let them know, they will use that against you. Men do it the same thing. Men do it the same way. So
people you love, irrespective of their gender, how they self-identify, when they're upset, are going to say stuff to hit you right over there in the heart.
So that's what I'm saying. That's where that forgiveness part comes in. You got to be able, if you're actually forgiving the person, not just saying I forgive you just to say it and move past a conflict or move past a situation. You actually have to forgive completely. Let it all out, let it all go, and just move on from it.
Yeah.
And not bring it up again. You're not going to be able to forget it, but it's not something that you're going to keep coming back. And it plays not just in the personal relationships, or not in the intimate relationships. It plays with everything, with our families, with how we act, with our for me, my parents, my siblings, my nieces and nephews. It all comes to it. Like, if you're having a bad day, you're having a shitty day, and you let it out. Like, for me, I've let it out on my mom or my siblings. I'm like, fuck. I regret doing that. So me asking for forgiveness is genuine. I'm not, and I know they're not going to bring it up once we're having other issues, or I won't bring up anything like that. So being able to do that, but first, before I'm even able to ask for that forgiveness, I got to forgive myself. I got to understand where I was coming from. I got to understand how I was dealing and what I was dealing with before anything. Because if I don't, when these feelings come back again, I'm going to do it again.
And you bring up a unique perspective, right? I was talking about relationship, you and your significant other, and what the trust does and how that messes you up for a while. But in fact, your first emotional trigger, your first love trigger, is your parents, your brothers and sisters, your siblings. And so, if as we film as a national holiday, summer is a great time for people to be getting together and work through those difficulties. Someone's going to trigger you.
Yeah.
And if you haven't forgiven them, they or you may bring something up and destroy and disrupt the entire afternoon and evening.
Absolutely.
Tonight, again, because we're filming on 4th of July, people are going to be popping fireworks, getting together, eating hot dogs, and whatever else. That forgiveness piece to family is as powerful as it is to your significant other. And again, we're not sharing any new news. We're not psychologists. We're not therapists. We're not religious leaders. We're just a couple of dudes that have been in love, that have hated people, that have been hated by people, that fell out of love. I mean, we are just normal dudes who have experienced life and just want to share that with you and get your perspective as well. I mean, for us, that's what the comment section is, right? Mm-hmm. Your first ability to connect with us is in the comments. Share your perspective and how you feel about this. Share your unique thoughts on the subject, whether it's with a significant, with your lover, with your partner, or a family member. What does forgiveness look like for you? And the second way, maybe you want to be a guest on our podcast. We're open to that as well. Whether you're a man or a woman, however you self-identify, we'd love to get your perspective. Pick a topic, in fact. We have a few that we're working on, so reach out to us and be real specific. Guys, I'd like to be a guest on your podcast. Cool. Let's see when this could work on your calendar and ours. And then let's go from there. But today, we have the mic and we have the ability to share that with you. But again, feel free to share your perspective. Now, triggers can affect what you believe the act of forgiveness. You think you forgave them, and then something happens. They do something. They act a certain way. And then there you're right back to struggling with that. Did you forgive them or not? Have you had those moments in your life, Cesar? And in your 29 years of life, have you been able to offer someone forgiveness? And then my follow-up is, have you also offered yourself forgiveness for similar type situations?
Yes and no. The answer to those questions. Yes.
Are you one of those guys that answers everything with yes and no?
No.
You should have. No, you should have said yes and no.
Shut
Try it again.
fucking
Are you one of those?
No, I'm not trying again. So yes, I have forgiven, um, and in many situations, maybe things that I probably shouldn't have forgiven. But I'm at peace with it, So yeah, I have forgiven people. Like I said, probably in things that I shouldn't have forgiven. But because sometimes we internalize that we have to prove ourselves to be worthy and to be in those relationships, and we believe that the love that we give or that expectations that we have is transactional with people, when at the end of the day it has to be unconditional. So yeah, I've stayed in relationships. I've done things that I probably shouldn't have, but I think the hardest part has been able to forgive myself in a lot of things. Talking about being in relationships, yeah, like I said, I just brought that first aspect of it earlier. I I don't shy away now. Well, now I don't shy away now, and looking back and thinking of what could have been differently in this last relationship if I would have just gone to church with her willingly,
Yeah, yeah.
and not putting those barriers in myself and putting those doubts in my head, thinking like, no, this is not what I'm supposed to be. Again, I bring it back to that faith and the belief in God. Where I'm set or where I'm put into, the situations that I'm put in, are for a reason. Maybe that situation, that relationship didn't work. I didn't go to church. I didn't do this. To now, couple years later, understand that hey, maybe I need to open up my mind and attend church and attend this service that I went that one day, and continue to explore that aspect of it. So yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest part, being able to forgive myself. And there's a lot of things that I haven't been able to forgive myself about, but it's things that we're working on. It's things that I'm working on in therapy. One of the biggest things that has helped me forgive myself for with therapy and my counselor is the way that I grieved my dad, the way that I went about that relationship the last couple of years. We weren't as close as I would have wanted us to be. Um, those last couple of years with my dad, especially because I was at school. I was here and there. I missed a couple birthdays. I missed some stuff, right? So the way that I grieved was different than with the family. Also, at that same time, I thought that I needed to be strong and I needed to be the one that showed no emotion. When at the end of the day, I was the one that needed to show the most emotion, because I was the one that was carrying the most. So being able to talk through that with my therapist and being able to just honestly let go of that grief and let go of the regrets that I've had, and let go of the what ifs or the what should I have done, or what if I should have been at that birthday, what should have happened not. It's just something that I just got to let go, and it'll be easier, and it gets easier to continue to work on yourself. I mean, we all need to go through it. We all go through grief. Specifically talking about this topic, we all go through grief differently. The way that I grieve is not the same way that you grieved. So, forgiving myself for putting those unrealistic expectations or those um, societal norm and expectations on myself, when at the end of the day I don't fit that category. I'm not like that. So why put myself into that perspective as well? So just emphasizing that part. And yeah, I mean, it's taken a while, and for me, it has taken therapy. It has taken being able to see a counselor for the last 4 or 5 years, um, to be able to where I'm at now. And yeah, like I said, we all have stuff that we do. We're all humans at the end of the day. We're all gonna make mistakes. We're all gonna the things that we do, the actions that we do. Some people are gonna perceive it as wrong or bad, right? So we also
You
gotta
know
forgive
what?
ourselves in that aspect.
I tell you what. See, you know what? One thing I think we've learned as well is that we gives an F in negative perspective people. Listen,
I mean,
listen.
yeah.
If you're here to help, I love it, man. If you're just throwing shit around, bro, take that to another porta
Oh no,
potty.
no, I'm talking about
Take
in our
that to
like in
another
our
porta potty.
relationships, like
Yeah.
within our intimate relationships, our family relationships, whatever. Sometimes we do things that might not seem right to our partners, to my mom, to my sister, to my brother, because they don't understand where I'm coming from or what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Okay.
So they might perceive it as something wrong. So we also gotta take ownership for that and ask for that forgiveness.
It's hard, man.
Oh,
here's the
none
thing,
of this
guys.
is easy.
In case you ain't know,
None of this is easy.
This forgiveness topic,
hell
it's the ultimate F word.
Yeah.
When we talk about F words, dude, I love the F word family. I love it, even when it's imperfect. I love it.
Yeah.
The other F word, faith, man. I have a unique appreciation. I love learning about people's faith. I enjoy attending church services and learning because I'm a lifelong learner. So I love to learn. But brother, that forgiveness word,
it's hard.
It's messy. It's complicated. Oh, I wish it were easy for all of us. Raise your hand if you can just forgive and then move on. I don't know the dude yet. Matter of fact, people who reached out to me after we did our first session, this is a 3-part series, part 1 of that series, they were like, okay, how do you forgive yourself? Like, oh, no. I'm not saying she figured it out. I'm saying we're talking about it because
we need to.
Because we need to. This is our therapy too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, Cesar picked back up on working out, and I got tired of him talking about it. So peer pressure, you know how that works. I started working out too, man. You know, we go to church, different church. I go with my kiddos, and he attends, and so we talk about that. That's another unique perspective that we didn't have 2 years ago.
No, not at all.
2 years ago,
we wouldn't be talking about any of this.
What I learned in church, boy, what's wrong with you? You know, and I'll say this, just because of maturity or time or not enough time, we haven't even had the chance to drink as much together as we used to.
Unfortunately.
You know, and so
that's what we took today. I was at a little excuse.
Today we did, you know. But the point is that, so I like to think that as we move, this podcast has helped us develop some unique habits that are positive, Cesar, and move away from some of those habits that weren't as positive. We're getting therapy in talking. We get therapy in engaging with people, and when they sit there and say like, "Hey, man, that was a tough topic. Here's my unique perspective."
Mm-hmm.
You know, shout out to everyone who listens in and reaches out. We love the comment section. We love this. You know, I don't know about other podcasters, but we do daily check-ins with each other, Cesar and I, and say, "Where's this video at? Where are the comments? Oh, we already have 10 likes. Oh, we have 2 or 3 comments. Oh, be sure to comment, and don't let me forget to comment." People are reaching out to us to invite us to events, to be on their platforms, and as a matter of fact, this coming weekend, we're going to be in H-Town in Houston, Texas. Shout out to Houston.
Let me turn my hat backwards.
There you go. Houston Community College Southeast Campus. We're going to be presenting over there. So if you're at the Tache Professional Development event, hit us up, man. We're going to be presenting out there. But again, the whole point is that this has allowed us more positive engagement and opportunities where we could easily be using our weekends and off time to not be productive. But we've been very productive. Yeah. On the days that I have free, on my weekends after podcasting, or usually way before we podcast, I spend a lot of time on the yard, man. Sometimes my kids help me, sometimes they don't. Sometimes I get some other assistance, which I appreciate. But I love working on the yard, dude. It's good vitamin. It's the sun that helps you. It's a free thing you can do, and I love beautifying my yard. Well, shouldn't that be true for our relationships as well? Shouldn't that be true for ourselves as well? Being intentional about cleaning areas and beautifying so that we can be happy and content in our relationships. And that's what I believe forgiveness is. Forgiveness is a beautification process, right? But I can tell you what it's not. Forgiveness is not fair. So that means it cannot be an eye for an eye. You cannot, Cesar, seek forgiveness and say, "Hey, dude, you stole $10 from me. So now I'm gonna steal 10 from you, or I'm gonna fuck up $10
Yeah.
of your property.
That's fair.
That's seeking fairness.
That's fairness. Yeah.
You're not gonna get it.
That's not going to be forgiveness.
Can you expand on that, dude? On how forgiveness in that component, in that aspect, is not fair.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. It's just not fair. It's not an eye for an eye. You're not going to get the same result. You're not going to make the same person feel the same pain that you felt for what they did. That's not forgiveness. That's not moving forward. That's just putting each other behind, and it hurts you at the end of the day. So that's why you have to forgive, like literally let go of everything, and just let it go. Not telling you that you're gonna forget. Just let it go, and if that's the last time you interact with that person, fine. Just because I forgive you, don't mean I'm gonna take you to lunch next week.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it goes that same way. I mean, just because somebody hurt you or did whatever, doesn't mean you have to hurt them the same way.
You're not gonna get what you think you're gonna do. What you're gonna get.
Oh, never.
You know, like listen, man. If
you're not gonna find that sense of relief either.
Let's make it real personal, right? Let's say you're in a relationship with your partner, and your partner
cheats on you.
Oh shit, that's a big one. Okay, I was gonna say eat the last piece of pecan pie. But
okay. No, we gotta go.
Vamos entonces, vamos. Let's go.
You wanted to get there, so
you want to go. You want to get serious about this?
Go.
I was gonna say to eat your last pecan pie, and then you over there you saw them with banana pudding, and then you okay.
Yeah, no.
But let's say they cheated on you. In the eye for an eye concept,
you cheat and
you go cheat on them. Sheet for sheet. Y está bien chile. Bien chile. Well, guys, you're not going to find any joy, any peace, any redemption, and any forgiveness if you do to them what they did to you.
Yeah.
You're better than that.
Exactly.
Right? And so if they did you like that, by the way, they did you dirty. There's no way around it, bro. Someone cheats on you, they did you dirty.
Yeah.
Ah, oh, shoot. How do you get past it? Man, someone stole some money from you. I mean, what do you do? If you're better off, man, if you're a good person, you just work towards forgiveness. I'm gonna tell you this. I read I saw on the news that someone broke into I told you today is 4th of July. We're using our day off to film. A couple days ago here in the DFW, someone broke into a fireworks stand. Did you hear this story? They broke into a fireworks stand. I'm gonna find that story and put it in the comment section, so you could, for those of you not in the DFW. So they broke in and they took it all. Man, I would imagine thousands of dollars worth of cuetes. The cuetazo, all right? They took it all. And
I forgive you for that too.
The guy, so the owners, I think it was a nonprofit if I'm not mistaken. I think it was a church, bro. I think this was their fundraiser. Damn. So you didn't just steal product. You didn't just violate trust. You took their investment. It's lost. Mm-hmm. And then you took the potential gains, return on that investment. It's lost. You probably set them back a year or two. The thief who took it. And as the story goes, the person wrote a post on social media and actually told them in so many words, I forgive you. And not only that, I'd like to offer you a job. Because you need help, bro.
Yeah.
Like my kids told me, hey, Dad, what would you do if someone took some money from you? Well, someone has taken some money from me. I have people who have taken money from me. I have people who have taken money, big amounts of money. What do I do? I got people who have taken trust, the big T, boy. They taken trust from me. I got people who have violated a handshake agreement. The truth is that my response to all that is the same. I wish them well.
Yeah.
I live my life. Fuck money, bro. Fuck you. Fuck your inability to trust people. I don't care. Me, I sleep well at night.
Mm-hmm.
I don't steal from nobody. I don't take from nobody. I don't mess with nobody's wife, bro. I don't mess with nobody's cheddar. I don't mess with nobody's fetty, dude. I don't mess with no one's livelihood. I don't do people like that. I don't even call the cops on my neighbors if they're doing something. That's not my business. Give me some advice on if I'm having difficulty forgiving myself. Because forgiving others, as difficult as it is,
it's easy.
It's easier than forgiving yourself.
For sure.
Give me some things I can do to forgive myself. I'm listening right now. I'm like, all right, guys, I hear you. I'm in part 2 of the series. How do I forgive myself?
I don't know. I'm waiting for the same advice.
It's true.
I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, like I said at the beginning, it just depends on each individual. For me, it has been attending church. It has been talking to my therapist. It has been letting go of everything that I've held inside. It has been the letter that I wrote to myself when we started this episode, which I'm still debating if it's going to go up or not. But yeah, I mean, for me, that's how it is. For me, that's the way that I express myself writing with my therapist. Tying it back into that faith and religion aspect of it, and the quote that we mentioned, and I'll repeat it again: forgiveness is letting go of what they owe because Jesus paid it all. So, forgive yourself because God has
intentional.
Yeah, exactly. God has already forgiven you for what you did. So we can't just use that quote for others and for what we're doing to forgive others. We got to use it and forgive ourselves in that same sense.
You know what also reminds me, Cesar, is I hear a lot of people like, hey man, you should go to this church, or maybe, or they invite each other to church, and someone says, nah, I don't go there anymore because I had this situation, I had this experience a couple years back. What? Bro, they're human beings at a church.
Yeah.
So human beings is going to act a fool sometimes. I guarantee you those human beings ain't there anymore, man.
More than likely not.
More than likely not. Or if people have the opportunity and right to change. And also, what was your part in it, man? I hear that a lot too. It's like in our industry, oh well, I had this terrible experience because something happened. Like, I was part of that experience. That's not exactly what happened. So your unique perspective. So let's be fair in that mindset. Keep in mind that as you seek forgiveness, your own perspective might be a barrier to how you navigate the process. Mm-hmm. If you're interpreting or misinterpreting what happened in the situation, you're never going to give forgiveness to them or to yourself because of how you're interpreting it. Mm-hmm. I go back to Psychology 101, the basics. You're holding on to that for a reason. Figure out why you're holding on, man. Maybe it's the only power you have. Maybe that's who you've become. You're just that person that holds on to bitter moments. Baby, life is so beautiful. Life is so short. If you're wasting time holding on to old ass memories, you're wasting time. And that's a non-religious perspective. That's just real life. There are wonderful moments to be made today and beautiful moments to be experienced tomorrow. But if you stuck in yesterday, you're never going to see today. You're never going to see tomorrow. And then, as they say, and as the name of our podcast, our last 30, if the person on the receiving end of that shame that you've put passes away, transitions, gets sick, you're not gonna find that peace you think. Mm-hmm. If you die, they ain't never gonna get that. You're not gonna get it either. But it ends when you die. So I think my perspective is this, man. It's a positive one, guys. Have I been hurt? Of course I've been hurt. Have I been lied to? Have people taken money? Have people taken my items? Did someone steal my bike when I was 8 years old? If I would have held on to that, like, dude, my grandpa made that bike for me. He put other pieces of bikes together, and it was a badass bike. And then you gonna come over here and steal my bike? If I'm living like that, I misunderstood the whole process. Mm-hmm. How about this? I was so lucky that I had a grandfather that cared enough about me and was creative enough to get a couple bikes together, put them together, right, and give me something beautiful, a bike, independence. Yeah. I had that for a while, man, and so and by the way, we got the bike back. That's a whole other story. That's a fun story. But check it. I don't live in yesterday, Cesar. I live for tomorrow. I appreciate today, dude. I love that I get to breathe air. I love that I went on a run this morning and worked out. I love that I'm back to taking care of myself because I enjoy running, dude. I actually do. And so I'm hearing Cesar every day, working out. And I said, dude, it's inexcusable for me. If we're in this partnership together and we're trying to advance together, it's not fair that one member of the team is working hard to improve, his health, which benefits his mental health, benefits how he looks and presenting himself. It's inexcusable for me not to offer the same to the team. Now let's make it back to a relationship, an intimate relationship. If you have a partner, your girlfriend, your wife, who's doing all the work and you're not offering anything,
but yes,
no, it's not helping out the situation. You're not advancing, and that's the issue, man. You have to be in it, and you have to understand it cannot be fair in that regard. You must understand, and this is that hard one. You'll never forget. You'll never forget the pain. You'll never forget the hurt. But it is your choice to move on. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the theme. I think that's the solution. Just move on.
You don't have to earn forgiveness.
You don't. And please accept, you are not going to forget. Once you accept that piece, like, hold up. That's true. The brain's not going to let me forget. So then what do you do after that? You keep working towards their goals. You keep working towards a commitment and advancing your work policy, your personal goals, your health, your physical fitness, or in your relationship, you work to advance each other.
Yeah.
It cannot be a competition. And it cannot be fairness in that regard, an eye for an eye. Mm-hmm. You got to know that in a relationship. If you're competing in a relationship, both of y'all in the wrong game.
100%.
Not going to work.
100%. But yeah, honestly, I think that's just a powerful episode and just talking about that faith and to bring it back again. You got to have, if you believe in religion, pray about it, meditate about it, journal it, see quietly with your thoughts and just think through things. That's one other way you can deal with forgiveness. But at the end of the day, like I said, and we mentioned earlier, grace and forgiveness is not a transaction, it's a gift. It's a gift to be able to forgive others. It's a gift to be able to forgive yourself, which is what we're talking about. So do what you can to do that. Shoot, do what I did. Start a letter and write. Literally, I sat down. I started with, I forgive you for.
And this is a letter to yourself?
Yeah, this is the letter I sent you the other day. I sat down and I just literally went down the line. Filled the whole, a couple pages of just, I forgive you for this, I forgive you for that, I forgive you for all of this.
Guys, listen to me. Listen to the power Cesar is being intentional about. He's releasing that bad mojo, that energy, bro. He's releasing pain.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you can release that pain, which is an intentional move, right? So as they say, the only thing between you and your peace is the permission you've given yourself. Mm-hmm. The forgiveness piece. That's the only thing between you. So now you've initiated a healing process, man. You put it on paper to release it, to release that energy. If you believe in all that stuff, I personally, I think it's real. I think when you put something down in paper, it's why we're simultaneously writing several books. Because, I mean, at least one or two of them is going to get published. But maybe not all of them. But there's a therapy in writing this stuff down. And maybe not everyone needs to hear all of it. You know, like we cut out a lot of stuff. There's a lot of these things that we don't even have a camera on when we talk. Not everything is for everybody's ears. Mm-hmm. But I think forgiveness is for yours.
Yeah.
I think it's for yours, man. And so I'll end my part in saying that sometimes the only thing between you and peace is permission. And maybe that permission is just as simple as, in the process Cesar has initiated, I forgive me. And to use the quote that Cesar started this entire series on is forgiving yourself because he already has forgiven you.
Oh,
you know,
forgiveness is letting go of what they owe because Jesus paid it all.
You know, for those of you of us with strong religious beliefs, that's going to ring true. Even if you don't, please know that it's pointless to hold on to that stuff. Even if you don't have any religious beliefs, dude, what are you getting from holding on to it?
Nothing. And at the end of the day, we're not perfect. None of us are perfect. And we're all just trying to heal as we go through life. That's the one thing that we continue to do. We continue to heal and try to be better. And just remember that you are forgiven. You are loved. You're enough. You got to forgive yourself. You got to tell that to yourself. Reinforce that to yourself first before you're able to move on. And yeah, I think that's honestly a great way to conclude this episode.
100.
We have part
Rewind
3.
it, guys. Rewind it and hear it again, man. I mean, that last part you said,
Yeah.
the last couple minutes, rewind it. Get your notepad out and start forgiving yourself. Start writing it down. No one has to know.
Yeah.
You don't have to a comment section. No, listen. Just get your piece of paper out.
And start
Buy
writing.
a tablet from the Dollar Tree, man. $1 invested. You got your pen. You got so many pens laying around. Tablet, you know, like a piece of paper, or just fold a piece of paper over, man.
Or use your phone and write.
Oh
Type.
yeah, I forget about that. Advanced technology. Yeah, I like pieces of paper. Write it down, man. Release that stuff from your head. It's why I actually have a writing pad by my bed. So middle of the night, if I'm like, I can't get that thought out of my head, I write it down.
And because you forget stuff.
And I forget stuff, but that's how you minimize forgetting. I really believe, you know. So listen, guys. Next week we close out the series. It's part 3. Thank you for listening to part 2. It's doing quite well on the metrics. We're pretty excited about what that looks like. But we're going to close out the series on the conversation about legacy, what it means to move forward, to heal. That's a big part of this, and to let go of who we thought we had to be. It's not an easy one, man. Again, we may wrap this up and say, like, hey, particularly by series 3, make some final points. But at the end of the day, man, start forgiving yourself, start healing, and remember to give yourself that permission.
Yeah.
We'll see ya.
We'll see you next week.
Next week. Part 3 coming up.